Welcome back to the Love Your Story podcast. We are celebrating summer, and today's inspiration is going to be short but powerful so that you can get out there and swim and go to amusement parks and hike and whatever is rocking your summer. So, first question, have you heard of Stephanie St. Clair? She is a life strategist writer out of Orange County, California, and she's all about fresh, practical, personal growth for doers and thinkers. She and I have a lot in common. She's a writer, she's a divorcee, she's a woman that's trying to use her experiences to lift and add some insight and light into the world in her own way. She has this blog post that has received tons of attention, downloads, reposts, and when I started perusing her website, it caught my attention as well. I think maybe just from the title. It's called The Badass Broad. That's a great title, isn't it? For today's episode, I'm just going to read this piece to you because it was real and wise and connected with me and obviously with a lot of other people too. So here we go. And for those of you men out there that are listening, you can change the word broad for dude or guy or see what gems you can pull from this for yourself. And maybe it's just that there's a woman in your life that you could pass this along to. Stories are our lives in language. Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast. I'm Lori Lee, and I'm excited for our future together of telling stories, evaluating our own stories, and lifting ourselves and others to greater places because of our control over our stories. This podcast is about empowerment and giving you, the listener, ideas to work with in making your stories work for you. Story power serves you best when you know how to use it. The Badass Broad by Stephanie St. Clair. Sometimes life requires you to be a badass broad. As in, take a look at the craziness surrounding you, pull that shit together, and handle it. Who is the badass broad? She doesn't tolerate drama, whether it's her own or another's. She lives in the real world, so there's always going to be craziness to contend with. But she recognizes it early and excuses herself from the scene. She's self-possessed and commands her space in the room. Her confidence is strong but quiet. She's not a loudmouth. She takes a compliment and looks you in the eye when you're giving it. She's an observer more than a talker, acutely aware of her surroundings. She uses the information to her advantage. She doesn't talk badly about other people, and while that sounds really angelic, she knows it will be traced right back to her and prizes her hard-earned credibility. She enjoys a good stiff drink, but never forgets that the sun will rise tomorrow and require her full strength and sobriety. She's not threatened by other women. As a matter of fact, she's the first to tell a stranger how pretty she looks or congratulate a friend on her new promotion. She feels energized by other women's successes. A badass broad does not get involved with someone else's man, period. End of story. She has a memory of how that went down and has learned from her mistakes. The fiercest thing about a badass broad is her ability to extricate herself from a situation that isn't working. Once aware of her mistake, she will snap her wallet closed, snap her knees together, snap her heart out of hypnosis, and head out with the swiftness that will suck the very oxygen from your lungs. She is discerning about what comes out of her mouth. She doesn't blab about family drama, new beaus, possible layoffs, or her own marriage issues. She has a few confidants, and they've earned her trust. She waits things out to see how they will settle before she goes into details with the general public. She knows she will rise above any situation and has no interest in ruining the reputation of others. A badass broad is not afraid of hard work. She rolls up her sleeves and gets to it. She doesn't bitch about it, and she doesn't wait for someone else to do it. She doesn't let herself get distracted and is very aware that resistance is a cunning enemy. Resistance being fear, self-doubt, procrastination, addiction, distraction, narcissism, self-loathing, and perfectionism. A badass broad is not a loudmouth, gossip, or a bitch. She doesn't throw her weight around, get loud and demanding, or act like she's better than everyone. She lets her actions speak for themselves, which saves her a bunch of vapid talking. A badass broad values freedom and sometimes does things unconventionally to afford her the highest measure of it. She takes big risks because she's willing to be her own rescue if things don't work out. She has survived numerous personal plot twists and can take what's handed to her without blaming others. A badass broad is made, not born. She's a sinner with the heart of a saint. She's been trespassed against, and she's done some trespassing of her own. But at some point, she drew a line in the sand, stopped the drama, and took back the wheel. She's in charge of her life. She can take the heat. She handles business. Touring the facility and picking up slack, Stephanie. Short but sweet today, but that inspirational piece, hopefully you got something out of it. There are spaces and words and paragraphs in there that I absolutely relate with, others that I know I need to work on, but wanted to share it, give you some food for thought in working toward creating your best life story and being your own badass self. So have a great week this week. You can find us on Facebook, Love Your Story Podcast Groupies, new closed group that we're doing, and the website, loveyourstorypodcast.com, where there are tools for helping you reframe old stories that are holding you back. Or join us in the 21-day Life Connection Challenge, 21 days of a new challenge every day, little life tools that you put into your life and helping you be a badass broad, creating the life you want, giving you tools, or a badass dude, right? Giving you tools to create that powerful, awesome, best life story. So your challenge this week is to consider what one thing you can tweak to be more badass, to be better. Make just that one little shift that takes you further along the life story that you want to create and being the type of person that you want to be. Go get them. Go get them. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Love Your Story.